Hi, welcome to the Maxine Greene Institute Salon series. We hope that these salons will provide a place for an exchange of ideas and a sharing of artwork, teaching practices related to aesthetic education, and examples of social imagination. I'm Holly Fairbank, and I'll be hosting your first salon in this series, which is a three-part conversation with storyteller, musician, and poet David Gonzalez. David will perform short stories from around the world and walk us through various aspects of the craft of storytelling, including elements such as words, voice, movement, and imagination, and what he calls technologies of enchantment, which is what we'll be focusing on today. Joining us will be some students from CUNY who have studied aesthetic education and are familiar with David's work. David is nationally recognized and an award-winning storyteller whom I met about 20 years ago when he was performing at Lincoln Center Institute when Maxine Greene was the philosopher in residence. It is my distinct pleasure to welcome David to this inaugural Maxine Greene Institute Salon. Hi, David.
Hey, Holly. You know what I like about that is inaugural. First of all, it means that it's the beginning of something that has continuity. Second of all, it has distinct tones about an election. and here we are in the throes of a crisis. And gosh, I'm sort of happy that Maxine isn't around for this right now. You know, I think, I remember the story of the great poet Pablo Neruda, who worked for social justice as an artist his whole life and as a politician. And just, you know, very shortly before his death, he was able to witness the first democratically elected social democrat in Chile, and who he supported. But right before he died, there was the coup d'etat in Chile, and a military dictatorship took place. And he, in his dying breaths, watched everything he worked for crumble. And, you know, anyway, I can't even imagine what Maxine would say given the circumstances in our country right now. I mean, I'm just happy she's just like she lived through enough, you know. Didn't she was like active in like as a volunteer in the Spanish Civil War from Paris?
Yes.
You know, like
I know. She had a phrase at the end of her life. She said, "One damn thing after the other." Like, wow.
Right.
So I'm glad she's,
didn't need to be around for this damn thing, to put it bluntly. Anyway, I'm just so happy to be with you here and sharing the space.
We're happy to have you.
So yeah, you know, I'm a storyteller and I'm a poet and I'm a musician, and actually I think they all go together. Sort of like the lines blur in a way. The poetry is in the story is in the poetry, and the music kind of wraps around all of that for me. It's always the kind of the subtext that I'm accountable to.
It's worth mentioning, by the way, that David, you played the guitar in our opening section right there at the beginning of the salon. So nice guitar playing there.
Thank you. Being wrapped up in this COVID lockdown, I have a lot of time to play guitar and piano, which has been a big joy too. Yeah, so the story I have selected for this final salon is called Three Whiskers of a Lion. And it's an interesting process how I got to it, because I read a version of the story from East Africa, like from the area of Kenya and Tanzania, an East African story. Then there's a whole other version that came from South Korea. And there was so much similarity in this tale. And then I saw sort of my own life in it as well. And so I sort of shaped it in this mishmash, and you'll see it. It's a story about, if I can not take away too much from the power of it, how time is an important part of healing. And so I don't want to say too much about it. This is a story called The Three Whiskers of a Lion. So let's go to it, and then we'll talk about it a little bit more. Thank you.
He's 12 years old. It's midnight. He's home alone, kicking up the carpet threads. And this is what he said. He said. My father must think I'm a chump. A little chimp on a chain. I'm not going to play his game. Mommy only died 1 year ago, and now here he goes getting married again. I'm not going to wear a little tuxedo, carry the ring down the aisle. She's only gone 1 year, and here he goes getting married again. I'm staying home, yo. 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3:45 in the morning. The happy couple arrives, his father and his father's new bride. She's dressed in her wedding gown. Her underarms are green and stained. Her breath smells like garlic. Her mascara has melted down her face. She goes to the boy, takes his head, thrusts it into her bosom and says, "Now you are my son." He says, "No, I'm not." She says, "But I've always wanted a boy just like you." "Sorry, but I married your father. That makes me your mother." "No, it don't." Next day, she has a plan. She goes to the mall, goes to the sporting goods store, and buys that jersey of his favorite shortstop, the guy who he wants to be. The kid can play. He's got a golden arm. He bats cleanup. He wants that jersey. She buys it. She puts it at his place at the dinner table. And when he comes in, he sees it, and you know he wants it. But he sees her, and she's like, kid takes the jersey, rips it up, throws it into the garbage. Next day, she goes back to the sporting goods store, this time to the sneaker department, and she buys the sneakers that cost $149. Why? Because they have air in them that has been brought back from the moon. Makes you float. You see, the kid is a point guard. He's got crazy skill. He hits 2 out of 3 from the three-point zone. And if he had some great sneakers, wow. But he sees her at the dinner table with the sneakers, and she's like, he takes the sneakers, throws them into the fireplace. Next day, she gets serious. She goes into the kitchen, and she looks at all the cookbooks, and she finds one written in the boy's mother's handwriting. She goes through all the pages, and she finds a recipe that says, "My son's favorite dish." She cooks the food, puts it at the table. He comes in, sees it, takes it, walks into the bathroom, flushes it away. "Hey, you know what? You will never be my mother." She goes crazy and remembers that down by the river, there's a hut, and in the house there's a woman. Some say she's wild, some say she's weird, some say she's a witch. She goes to her and says, "Look, I need your help. I married this man. He has a son. I need you to make a magic potion so that that boy will love me as his mother. Can you do it?" "Uh-huh. Good. Do it." "Uh-uh. Why not?" "Because you must bring me the main ingredient." "Well, what is the main ingredient?" "You must bring me 3 whiskers from the chin of a lion." 3 whiskers from the chin of a lion? Are you crazy? Yeah. 3 whiskers from the chin of a lion? Not a little kitten, not a fat cat, a crazy beast like that. Where am I going to get 3 whiskers from the chin? And this is what she does. She thinks and thinks and thinks and thinks, and then she cooks a big pot of beef stew, bones bubbling in the brew. And she sets it at the foot of the forest. And she hides about 20 feet away behind a tree. And she waits. The wind blows. The scent goes into the forest, and the lion comes. The lion sees the food. The lion starts to eat. And she, just for 1 second, jumps out long enough for the lion to see her, and then she hides again. The lion eats. The lion goes. Next day, another pot of food in the same exact spot, but this time she stands in front of the tree. And she waits. The wind blows, the scent goes, the lion comes. The lion sees her. The lion sees the food. The lion eats. The lion goes. Next day, another pot of food, but this time she stands a little bit closer. Lion comes, lion sees her. Lion eats. Lion goes. Next day, a little bit closer. Lion comes, sees her, eats, goes closer and closer. Each day, a little bit closer. Comes, sees her, eats, goes. A month, 2 months, 6 months. 1 year later, she's on her knees, right next to the pot of food. The lion comes. The lion sees her. The lion releases his jaw, exposing his fangs and the swagger of his tongue. And then the lion eats the food. She takes out silver scissors and snip, snip, snip. 3 whiskers from the chin of a lion. The old woman takes the whiskers, rubs them between her hands, makes a fur ball out of them, and whoosh, blows it up into the air, over the river. It falls into the water and is swept away. What are you doing? Are you crazy? Yup. Do you know what I went through to get those whiskers? Yup. How am I supposed to make a potion now? Sweetheart, now you don't need a potion. Now what you need is to treat that boy the way you treated that lion. So check her out. The next day, she's in the house. She's walking down the hallway. She does not even look in his room. Next day, she's walking down the hallway, looks in his room, stops, sees him, keeps on going. Next day, she stops in front of his room. He's on his bed doing math homework. She sees all his posters, all his stuff. Just kind of nods and keeps going. Next day, she comes back. Again, he's working out a problem, and he looks at her and he says, are you good at math? Used to be. What do you got? And he kind of scoots over on the bed and makes room for her to sit down. He hands her the problem sheet and a pencil, and she works out a few calculations and then goes. Next day, same thing. Next day, same thing. And this goes on for 2 to 3 weeks until one day she's working on a problem and the kid reaches over, takes the pencil out of her hand and says, hey, look, I just want to say that I'm the kind of kid you just can't like blast into my life, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not that, you're cool, okay? You're cool, all right? My dad, like, how could my dad get married after just one? My mom, I just miss her so much. And she didn't say anything. She just reached her arm around, put the kid's head on her shoulder, took a deep breath, let his head rise and fall. Next day, same thing. Next day, same thing. Next day, same thing. Until about 6 months later. He's late for school. The bus is outside, honking, honking, honking. He grabs his backpack, puts his right arm through the right loop, puts his left arm through the left loop. His left hand shoots up and he says, "Bye, Mom, I'll be home later." And the words rang in his mind like a church bell on Sunday morning. He ran outside into the school bus. He grabbed a window seat and looked out. She was there on the sidewalk, tears streaming down her cheeks. And he said it again. He said, the funny thing is, she heard it. She heard it down to her bones. Love is hard work, but it sure is worth it. Thank you.
Oh, so nice. Thanks, David. I wanted to welcome our guests who were previous students of mine from Hunter College and Borough of Manhattan Community College. And please welcome Ingrid Mendez, Ruby Igeret, and Rija Ahmed. Could you introduce yourselves, please, ladies?
Hi, my name is Ruby Ejid. I am a student at Hunter College. I'm a double major in English Language Arts and Childhood Education.
Hi, my name is Rija. I also go to Hunter College. My major is Childhood Education and Psychology.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ingrid Mendez. I just recently graduated from Borough of Manhattan Community College, transferring to City College of New York with the major of bilingual education.
Perfect, great. So I know you are familiar with what we call guided noticing, and I was very eager to hear what you discovered and noticed and what stood out for you about David Salon's performance.
Well, one thing that really stood out to me in this one was how he used pauses and soft rests to sort of like tell the tone and simultaneously convey humor of the story. One part that like really made me actually laugh out loud was when the woman was sitting next to her stew and the lion was bearing down on her, and he had his huge face and a big booming voice. Then he stopped. And then the lion ate some food. And it cracked me up. And I really think that a part of that was just because of like this mounting tension and then an abrupt silence. And it returned to normalcy. And that was carried throughout the entirety of the story. You could definitely see it when she was trying to relate to the boy after she finally understood the value of patience through her work with the lion, and how she kept coming in, stopping, and interacting with the boy or walking away. And especially at the end where he says, "Bye, Mom!" And then you really feel the power of that moment. So I really sort of like felt like how the emotion and humor of the story was conveyed, not just through voice, but through silence.
So, fantastic. So the shape of it and the control and the contrast that you're mentioning, that's catches your attention and takes you by surprise. And Ingrid.
Yes, to add on with Ruby, with what she said, yes, there's a lot of pauses, and I can't imagine how he would have told the story just with one simple voice, with the same voice throughout, without pauses. It really changes the story. It really molds what he's trying to convey. So it's really giving that dramatic pause, giving the speed of his voice, using his hands, his movement as well. It all gives a lot of power to the story. And
like that. So it's also not just the pause and the silence, as Ruby was mentioning, but the stillness too kind of captures and shapes the delivery. Rija, what did you notice?
I think the pauses was the thing that we all really focused on, because I have in my notes here right now pauses, and it made me realize a big lesson about storytelling is that pauses can say as much as words do. So that was my biggest takeaway from this.
Wow, I think it's a great takeaway for a lot of things in life. The rest and the actions, when you take actions, when you move forwards, when you hold back. But that's get a little metaphoric. Ruby.
Well, one thing that I really just because we are so focused on not just like the story itself, but how he told the story. The story was all about timing and patience just on the mother's behalf. So I really sort of think that that's maybe why we were also so focused on how he told the story, because in the beginning there was such a rush, and then he slowed down. And it was so funny and just so personable that I really think that the story itself also really added to the timing of his performance, and it was just very interesting to see.
Yeah, nice observation. Sort of the meta level of the concept. David, I know you want to come in and join us with some interaction with the students.
Well, first, I just want to say thank you, because I missed interacting with students a lot. I'm not teaching university anymore, and I'm not performing live. So to hear your thoughts, to hear your careful and probing questions and considerations about anything is cool, but about the work that I do, it makes it even cooler. So just want to big, heartfelt thanks. So I was reflecting on again, this experience of what I might call enchantment. And I wanted to define that. Enchantment for me is, well, it's a French word. And when you meet someone in France, you say enchanté. It's like pleased to meet you, but it's so much more than pleased to meet you. Enchanté is enchanted. Enchanted. And inside the word enchanted is the word chant, which we know. Maybe you are taking a yoga class and you do a chant or there's a mantra, but it comes from the chanson. It comes from the word for song. Song. And I kind of figured, like, to me in English, the best translation would be to songify. We know about Spotify, but to songify, to enchant is to songify. That is to take out of the hardness of life, to make something that has the fluidity, the openness, the spaciousness of song, to musicalize, to lift out of the hardness something that has lightness and so this artistic open connectivity. Enchantment is that, where the sort of like the small enclosed moment sort of unpacks into wonder. And it just doesn't happen like that. It's not a snap of the fingers. It's not because you have the idea that it's going to happen. It's going to happen through careful craft. In this case, I use the word tech, the technologies of enchantment. And I have a long list of technologies of enchantment. I'm just going to read you the whole long list, then we can zero in on a few things, okay? So, where are my glasses? And this is in no particular order. It's kind of just a mishmash, but see if things jump out at you, and then we're going to zero in on a couple of them. So I have a list here of 16. One is flow. There's interruption. I think you were talking about that a moment ago. Generosity, iteration and variation, confusion, surprise, contrast, intensity scales, unfolding vocabularies, eye contact, time switching, that is mythic time, real time, memory time, association time, playing with expectations, fulfilling them, deflating them, pacing, foreshadowing, tending to the story structure, revealing the structure, trusting it, and modality switching, that is moving from voice, movement, text, etc. So that's a whole long list that we could dive into. But let's just take 3 of them for the moment. And I have just plucked out a couple of us that we can focus on is flow and intensity scales and modality switching. So let's just zero in on one of those. And maybe, Ruby, you can help me with this. So by flow, I'm referring to how one moment connects to the next moment, to the next moment, to the next moment, so that the attention is never lost. And it's constructed, in theater we say beat by beat, where you might think of moment by moment engagement. For me as a musician, what I connect to or what I draw upon is rhythm and pulse. So even though it's not always happening in a groove, and even though, but sometimes there is, but underneath it all, there's this sense of pulse. So this is a simple exercise I want to do with you. And it goes like this. It's 4/4 time. So we're going to just count together, and we're going to clap on 1. We say 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, go.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
And now just do it without the clap. Just count 1, 2, 3, 4. Go.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 4.
And pause. I can see your body's already moving in it.
I'm already feeling it.
And you probably, in the back of your mind, that first clap is still resonating. Okay, so this is what I'd like you to do now, is I'm going to hold up, first we're going to go, I'm going to say, we're going to do 4, so you'll name all 4 beats. And at a certain point, I'll drop it, and you're going to just do 1, 2, 3. The 4th will be silent. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then we'll drop it. 1, 2. 1, 2. And do it 1. 1. 1. And then this one. One, 2. I'm sorry, it'd be 1. 1. 1, 2. 1, 2, like that. We're going to build it. We're going to deconstruct it and build it up so that the pulse starts to live through the whole thing. You with me on that?
Sounds fun.
Okay. So,
Here for
and those of you who are at home, play along. Okay? We start with clapping on 1, 2, 3, and here we go. And 1.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 1. 1. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Good job. Thank you.
That was fun.
This is kind of musical training, but what I wanted to convey there is that sense that it's ongoing. What was your quick experience about that?
It was very interesting because honestly, my whole body was moving throughout the whole thing. It was very entertaining because even though there was silence, the time was still moving, and I sort of feel like that's really the thing that, you know, that one really stood out to me just in your in the Three Whiskers story, but also just in this experience that even though nothing is happening, that doesn't necessarily mean that nothing is happening. There's still action. There's still stuff moving forward. There's still a beat, even if you don't hear it. And
Nice.
so that's really what I got out of this.
Great. Thank you so very much. I really appreciate that. Brilliant. All right. So I think I'm going to bring Rija in and talk a little bit about intensity scales. Hey, Rija.
Hi.
Hey there. Intensity scales is like how things can really modulate and compress, grow and contract, big to small, and everything in between, and to do that with a lot of consciousness. So let's just work with volume for a minute, okay? And here's a very simple thing. We'll go from 1 to 5. I'll do it one time and see if you can retain it, and then we'll do it together the second time.
Okay.
1 is a whisper. 2 is quiet. 3 is normal. 4 is loud. And 5 is a shout. 5 is a shout. 4 is loud. 3 is normal. 2 is quiet. 1 is a whisper. Let's just do a call and response with that. Just repeat after me. 1 is a whisper.
1 is a whisper.
2 is quiet.
2 is quiet.
3 is normal.
3 is normal.
4 is loud.
4 is loud.
And 5 is a shout.
And 5 is a shout.
1. Let's see if we can do it together. From 1 to 5. Ready? And 1 is a whisper. 2 is quiet. 3 is normal. Hold on a second. I think that the latency is messing us up. You just do it yourself one time, okay?
Okay.
Go ahead.
1 is a whisper. 2 is quiet. 3 is normal. 4 is loud. 5 is a shout.
Okay, let's do that again. Just take care of it a little bit more so that arc rises up from whisper to shout. See if you can sort of find it as a stepwise progression.
Okay.
Do it one more time.
1 is a whisper. 2 is quiet. 3 is normal. 4 is loud. 5 is a shout.
Good. Now go backwards from 5. Ready, set, go.
5 is a shout. 4 is loud. 3 is normal. 2 is quiet. 1 is a whisper.
Nice. Really nice. Okay, let's do one more thing just in terms of one gesture, an intensity scale and gesture.
Okay.
So let's imagine that let's work with the idea of weight. Just hold your hands, and you're holding 2 hands, a single feather.
Oh, okay.
Single feather.
I don't know how to portray that, but
Well, just feel it. There's no right or wrong, just whatever's right.
okay.
There's a feather in your hands. Okay? Suddenly, it's a small bird. It's a chicken. It's a turkey. It's an ostrich. So again, it's about the weight and the size. It just grows and grows and grows. I loved how you brought your eyes into it as well. These are just examples of how we modulate intensity to convey ideas and feelings in the story. Anything you want to say about that?
It was something out of my comfort zone, but I think it was good practice for me because, as a teacher, you have to be a performer. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Okay. The other, quickly, hold the balloon in your hand.
Oh, a balloon would be like this.
But imagine you're holding it in your hand like that.
Oh, okay. So I would kind of hold it like this where it float away.
That's good. Hold the balloon. And when I count to 3, it turns into a bowling ball. 1, 2, 3. Okay, shift the position. Nice. Good. Okay, that's a kind of flip of the intensity as opposed to a gradual thing. Anyway, thank you so much.
Thank you. I had fun.
Okay, we have time for one more, and let's go over to Ingrid and talk about modality switching. Hey, Ingrid.
Yeah.
Hey there. So modality switching is where we sort of begin an idea in one modality and move it into another modality. And when I say modalities, I mean like those 3 rivers, like words into movement into voice. But let's do that. Words. Let's do voice into words into movement. Okay? So let's start with a simple thing. Sound of a river. Okay, so what is the sound of a river? Good. And so you're in a space. And what would be that? How would you move from sh into the word river without saying shriver? So we are in, give me some sh, right? We're in sh. Actually, let's do this. Let's go from sound into movement. So first, just go, give me the sound of the river and show me with 1 or 2 hands and your eyes, river. Let's just connect those 2. Okay, ready, set, go. Okay, and then let's adjust the hand. Let's see, adjust the hand. Yeah, play your camera a little bit so I can see you better. Right. Okay, and now say the word river in a way that feels like a river.
River.
Yeah. Nice. How was a bubbling river? Like, how about we use the word raging river? Okay, so you're going to go from shh into the gesture, into the words raging river, and let each one connect, but also have its own space. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, go.
Shh. Raging river.
All right, do it the whole thing slower. And I'm going to ask my producer friend, Bruce, who's helping me backstage here. Let's give Ingrid the whole screen so we could see a fuller picture of her in this.
Shh. Shh. Raging river. Shh.
How about just the words raging river with no movement so we feel the raging river?
Raging river.
All right, cool. And break it down one more time. Let's give Ingrid the full screen. Let's go the shush sounds of a raging river, then add the gesture. So it's, if I can jump in with you here, it's it's by itself. Raging river, or something like that. You see how can they overlap, but also kind of separate? I know it's weird, but give it a try. Let's give Ingrid the full screen.
Raging river.
Thank you. At a certain moment there, I kind of was waiting for some really cool like house beat to come in, just the way you were like. Right. It was like. Hey Bruce, let's bring everybody back in for a second, and I think just want to say a big hearty thanks for your participation. Let's get hey, and thank you. Hey everybody, this has been a joy for me to share my work with you and to have your brilliant minds taking a peek into this world. And I'm so happy to be part of this Salon series with you all. Yeah, there's the website. Thank you, Bruce. You know, there's a lot of more videos and things there. And so if you feel up to it, you can peek in, and you can always reach me, you know how. So thank you so much. And people out there in TV land, computer land, wherever you are, I hope you look into Maxine's work, MaxineGreene.org, and the beautiful people who are behind keeping her legacy, and even more importantly, her ideas alive for us in this time of ours. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everybody, especially David. But it wouldn't have been the same without these wonderful students who joined us today, Rija, Ruby, and Ingrid. It was a real pleasure to see you again. And clearly, you know something about aesthetic education. It's going to be wonderful teachers. I wanted to end with some quote from Maxine when she talks about where David's been talking about enchantment and all these ideas that bring us forward into the world. Maxine said, it is imagination with its capacity to both make order out of chaos and open experience to the mysterious and strange that moves us to go in quest to journey where we have never been. So thank you for taking us there, David. I hope you'll join us for our next salon coming up in another month. Good night.